In 1990, the Bitmap brothers released Speedball 2 Brutal Deluxe on the Amiga, and it instantly became one of the most beloved sports games of the 16-bit era. Fast forward 35 years, and Rebellion has brought Speedball back from the dead with a full modern remake. Today on the channel, we're going to go through this new version, compare it to the Amiga classic, break down what is in the game, what's been changed, and whether this captures the same magic we experienced back in the day. Before we dive in, I'm excited to be partnering with Speedball for this video. They have provided me with early access to check this game out. So without any further ado, let's jump in. In this future sports game, the goal of Speedball 2 is simple: tackle, pass, and score goals. The Bitmap brothers were absolute masters of the Amiga hardware. They simply would raise the bar with incredible visuals that had that signature metallic aesthetic, the Dan Malone graphics, as well as the Richard Joseph soundtrack. The sound design had those metallic clangs, the crowd reactions, the ice scream. It was all mixed perfectly on the Amiga's sound chip. But what made it special was the gameplay loop. It wasn't just about scoring goals, it was about the brutality, the strategy, the way you could update your teams between matches. You could play aggressively and just demolish the opposition, or you could be more strategic and exploit the arena's features. And then there were the team names. The Bitmap brothers didn't give you generic Team A and Team B. They would create an entire league with teams with names such as Brutal Deluxe, Fatal Justice, Super Nashwan, Violent Desire, the Renegades. These weren't just names, they set the tone for the entire game. In Speedball 2, you started as Brutal Deluxe, literally the worst team in the league. You could select from knockout league and cup matches. You could buy and sell players and improve your team. You could train your squad at the gym. Players could also be substituted. Each player was assigned various attributes including aggression, attack, defense, speed, throwing, power, stamina, and intelligence. And this is what Rebellion is trying to recapture here. The game is pure chaos in the best way. What makes this new Speedball iteration stand out is how brutal and fun it is. Takedowns feel heavy and visceral. The games are quick and unpredictable, and there's zero downtime. It does a great job of nailing down that competitive vibe that we had with the original. Speedball just got out of early access and is available today on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation. And I've left a link below if you want to check it out for yourself in the description. Now there's always a new learning curve when you pick up a new game, especially a competitive sports game like this, but I do like how easy it is to jump in and have fun. It reminds me of those old Amiga days where you could just start a match in seconds. Now the first time I picked up and played this game, the thing that I really noticed was the Bitmap brothers' influence, that industrial aesthetic. Now there are 3 different arena settings to pick from: the normal, the brutal, and the always Speedball stadium, and I prefer the classic always Speedball stadium because it has that very familiar look with the star at the center of the pitch, and this is going to make fans of the original Speedball 2 game quite happy. Now the team customization is way deeper than the original. In this, you can draft players, manage your stats, position your team around, and bench underperformers. Now you can do some of this in the original game, but this updated remake has the modern sports game depth while keeping the arcade accessibility. Now when you do play this game, one of the things you'll notice is the speed. The original game ran on the Amiga as we know, and it was running at about 25 frames per second. It wasn't running at 60 frames per second or anything like that, but the action was always fast. In this iteration, it's running silky smooth at 60 frames per second, and you can really feel the responsiveness here. And one thing that I always felt would make or break a modern Speedball remake would be the movement speed, and Rebellion has nailed this. They've got the right speed dialed in for the players, which is a great thing.
Get ready.
Now let's talk about what everyone remembers from the original, the violence. In Speedball 2, you could absolutely destroy the opposition. This version takes that concept and cranks it up. These brutal takedowns trigger slow motion sequences, and the key difference from the original is that they actually award you points, not just damage. It incentivizes aggression in the way the Amiga game kinda did implicitly, but it's now baked into the scoring system. Now, the original game had bumpers, score multipliers, and electro bounce zones. The modern remake here expands on all of those things. The grind rails are a totally new addition. You can slide across them for speed boost and repositioning. It also adds a verticality and movement option that wasn't in the Amiga version. The flame spinners are basically evolved versions of the original hazards. You can lure opponents into them and use them for space control. And the multiplier hoops, this is a part of the Speedball 2 DNA. It's high risk, but it's also high rewarding scoring. In the original, hitting the multiplayer lanes was crucial for high scores. And the same concept is here, albeit with a new implementation. What I really like here is that Rebellion understood the assignment. They didn't try to reinvent Speedball, they just modernized it while respecting what made the original work. The core loop of score goals, destroy opponents, and exploit the arena's features is identical to the 1990 version. Now let's talk about the League mode, because this is where Speedball 2 really hooked people, myself included. You started out as Brutal Deluxe as mentioned, and you started out as a bottom tier team, and you had to work your way up through the ranks. You would do this by collecting coins on the pitch and earning credits at the end of the match. You could also buy in star players and transfer players around. And slowly your team would transform from pushovers into champions. And it was this perfect progression curve that modern games still try to replicate. And each team you went against had different opponents. Each team had different stats and different playstyles. For example, Super Nashwan was fast and aggressive, Revolver was balanced, and by the time you hit top tier teams like Fatal Justice, you were in for a real fight. And I'm happy to report that this new version takes that same framework and expands it significantly. You're not just upgrading generic statistics, you're managing individual players, setting formations, making tactical decisions. But the core loop is still very much the same. Win matches, earn credits, get stronger, and climb the league. That's pure Speedball 2. What made the original special was the sense of building something, and this modern version recaptures that very same attachment. Now, one thing that I did want to illustrate was the multiplayer, and this is where the game really shines. Local co-op, sitting on the couch, yelling at each other. This is what Speedball 2 was all about back in the day. The Bitmap brothers understood that sports games were inherently social, but there's something about that physical presence that makes these matches more insane. And these matches can be between 5 to 10 minutes. Speedball respects your time while still feeling substantial. Now, of course, this modern remake has transitioned from 2D pixel art to modern 3D rendering. Now, the Bitmap brothers' art had this cold industrial look achieved through clever use of the Amiga's limited color palette. Rebellion captured the same aesthetic while adding detail and animation that the original hardware was not capable of. The physics feel more refined. The Amiga version had wonderful collision detection for the time, but this is the benefit of a modern physics engine, and bounces are much more predictable and movement is tighter. Audio is a mixed bag for me. The original had that iconic ice scream, the metallic sound design, and there's definitely some really cool throwbacks to the original game here, and you'll notice these almost immediately when you start to play. This is pure nostalgia. I do kind of miss the lo-fi crunch of the Polar chip, but of course this is just my nostalgia talking through. Of course, we mentioned that the management system in the game has significantly expanded. This has full roster management, stats tracking, strategic positioning. It's more Madden influenced than anything else, which does make sense for 2026 if you're into it. And overall, this is a very solid remake. Now, I do want to be very, very clear that Rebellion understood the assignment. We're not trying to replace Speedball 2 here, because nothing could possibly do that. The game is the perfect artifact of the early 90s Amiga development at its peak. But I've seen so many people asking for a Speedball 2 remake for so many years, and the question is, what would it look like 35 years later? And I gotta say, the answer is pretty much this. The game keeps all the major key pillars of the Speedball game. It keeps the brutality, it keeps the speed, the arcade accessibility, the strategic depth, and it adds more conveniences like robust online play, deeper management systems, and some more variety. For people who played the game on the original Amiga or Atari ST or various console ports, this is a nostalgia trip done right. For younger players who've never experienced Speedball, this is generally a unique sports game that emphasizes violence and chaos in a way that nothing else really does. Rebellion clearly loves the source material, and it shows in every design decision. From keeping the team name conventions to the arena design philosophy, they respected what made Speedball special. Is the game perfect? Absolutely not. There are definitely some known issues in the brief that I got, some bugs here and there, but nothing game breaking, and these are the kind of things that will get patched as the game exits its early access. Now, Speedball is out on Steam, Xbox and PlayStation if you want to experience this chaos for yourself, and honestly, if you have any love for arena sports games or Bitmap Brothers classics, why not check it out for yourself? Use my link in the description or check the pinned comment below. And this is one of those games that's perfect for a quick session or a full league match binge. Whether you're reliving the Amiga days with Brutal Deluxe or discovering it for the first time, it's absolutely worth checking out. But that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this episode, please don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, and we will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye for now.